So today on Citrus Corner, we're going to talk about Fantasmic coming back to Walt Disney World with some changes along the way. So coming at you on Citrus Corner. Hey everyone, welcome back to Citrus Corner. I'm your host today, George. As always, of course, joining me today is Orange Grove 55, the founder of the channel, the one who's given me this opportunity to host Citrus Corner. How are you today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here today on Citrus Corner. I want to thank you for bringing me on to talk some Walt Disney World.
All right, awesome. And remember, it's not fantastic, it's Fantasmic.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I kind of figured that since Disney had released quite some information on the past D23 event, Destination D23 at Walt Disney World, that the chairman of the Parks and Resorts, Josh D'Amaro, had mentioned that Fantasmic is going to be coming back to both coasts for Walt Disney World and Disneyland. But of course, with Walt Disney World as compared to Disneyland's Fantasmic, I'm sorry, it's like when you buy like a name brand like Pepsi or Coke, but then you buy like an off brand. It's the same exact thing, but you just know it's less cheap enough than the name brand. You know, That's what it's like with Fantasmic on both coasts, because Disneyland got the kick-ass dragon, they got the special effects, and Walt Disney World's Fantasmic still has the storyline and technology since 1997. I mean, that's
wow.
I mean, that's a little bit scary. And I think now that since Fantasmic was closed down for a period of time, you know, from the Pandy and what have you, it gave Disney an opportunity to, you know, really showcase, you know, to bring Fantasmic back to the studios. And along with the announcement of Fantasmic's return, they had mentioned that there's going to be new sequences in the show involving Aladdin, Moana, different projection screens, and what have you, which then led me to think that you have to keep the length amount of time for Fantasmic, but you're adding different scenes. So that means Disney does what it does best. You know, to add more, they take out. So it's like the question, what are they going to take out? Well, there has been a lot of rumors and a lot of conversation circulating even before, you know, Fantasmic going down for this length amount of time, is talks of the Pocahontas scene at Walt Disney World, because Disneyland doesn't have the Pocahontas scene for very good reason. And and for me, and I'm for sure, Orange Grove, that I know you've never seen it in person, but have you seen like videos, you know, on YouTube of Fantasmic at Walt Disney World?
I have, yeah. It's been a while, but I have, yes.
Okay. So before I get into it, let me ask you, what is your take on the Pocahontas scene? Like, just like in your opinion?
It doesn't do much for me. But here's the thing too, is I'm coming in kind of like with a little bit of like a bias, because like I grew up with Disneyland's Fantasmic. Like that was the Fantasmic, you know what I'm saying? So when you introduce something that's Fantasmic, but doesn't have like everything, like it's not the Fantasmic that I saw growing up, it feels weird, you know? It feels really, really weird. So yeah, I didn't love that scene. I think Disney has a lot more IP right now they can put there that would be better. I know Moana's been thrown around as a possible replacement. I think Moana would be a much better choice. Moana, you know, the thing about Moana that's really cool is that her kind of like this magic or this mystique between her and the ocean and things like that. I think that would play really well in a show like Fantasmic. Very, very well, actually. Much better, I think, than like Pocahontas, you know? There's a lot more visually there with Moana you can do in a show like that. So yeah, I think that it should go. I think they're making the right decision if they are going to remove it to replace it with something else like a Moana. I think that would be the way to go. I really do. I don't think it was the greatest segment ever. And I think that there are other franchises out there that can do a better job in this show than Pocahontas. Pocahontas isn't like a spectacle movie, you know, and it's very much like more of a historical thing, which is fine.
Yes.
I mean, obviously it takes a lot of leniency in that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is it's not a spectacle like Moana, where you have like the, you know, the magic and the glowing, like, you know, jellyfish. I mean, the stingrays and stuff. It's just different. Moana visually just works better, I think, for Fantasmic.
Yeah. So here it is for me. And I like to nitpick everything when it comes to storyline purposes. So the whole storyline is, you go through this journey into Mickey's imagination, like in his dreams, and then the Disney villains take over and turn it into an overwhelming nightmare, So prior to the villains coming into the storyline of the show, the Pocahontas scene sets up that sequence before the evil queen comes out, turn into the old crone, the Disney princesses come out on the barges and what have you. For me, it's almost like Disney couldn't really find anything at that time to fill that spot in. So they just said, hey, let's just put Pocahontas in there. Let's do a sequence of Pocahontas, which really, I can't even say it's really Pocahontas, because she shows up 2 seconds at the top of the mountain and then that's it. So basically it's Governor Radcliffe with his crew, digging for the gold in the lost world, and then you have the Native Americans coming out on the canoes and everything. And I think that's where, as you mentioned, that's where I feel that if it was to replace Moana was to replace it, rather than have the canoes, it would have her coming out maybe on the Wayfinder boat, and with the music from the film. And I think that's where it may take place. But it's honestly sort of like, and I know this is going to sound horrible of me, but sort of like when Walt told Ward Kimball that he was going to cut the soup scene in Snow White because it just kind of dragged the story along. Yeah. That's what I feel like the Pocahontas scene is. It kind of dragged along Fantasmic. It had no relevance to the storyline whatsoever. Mickey had no part of it whatsoever. It was just basically cutting a scene from a movie and pasting it into Fantasmic. And, they're singing and dig and dig and dig and diggity dig. I mean, come on. It's, what does that have to do with anything?
No, it doesn't. And we also have to look at the time period. When did Hollywood Studios Fantasmic premiere? You said 1997?
1997.
So that was that makes sense, because Pocahontas would have been like the big movie when they were when Fantasmic for Florida was in development, because Pocahontas came out in 1995. Right. I would assume the Fantasmic was in production a few years. It makes sense. They wanted to throw the latest Disney movie into the show. So we're going to shoehorn that thing in as much as we can, And I just I agree with you. I don't think it fits the show. I think a Fantasmic is a spectacle. You need films that are a spectacle. Aladdin is, you said that you mentioned Aladdin. That's a great fit for Fantasmic. It's a spectacle. Moana, again, it's a great fit for Fantasmic. It's a spectacle with the bioluminescence, like jellyfish, and not jellyfish. I keep calling them jellyfish. Stingray.
Yes.
Right. And things like that. I mean, I think that plays more to the show. Visually, even like Moana with like the volcanoes and things like that you can do with it. It just makes more sense. Pocahontas is more, like I said, is more more of a historical piece. Yeah. And it just doesn't really go with the kind of show Fantasmic is,
And if that was the approach Disney was taking, back in 1997 to put the Pocahontas in Fantasmic, I could definitely understand it. But it almost being going on, what is it, 25 years, I think that it's due for more than an upgrade. I mean, it needs a complete facelift.
Oh yeah.
And I think if they were to add in Aladdin, obviously it would be the sequence of a whole new world with Aladdin and Jasmine on the magic carpet. And, so as you had said, it would definitely fit in well to put in that sequence in Fantasmic. And I really hope along with those sequences, they add that wonderful technology that they do at Disneyland, like with the lighting and the special effects and honestly, even the elephant in the room. But I guess you can't really even call it an elephant. I have to call it a dragon, because I mean, our dragon is a complete joke. I mean, to have that much space, that huge mountain, and to not have the kind of dragon that Disneyland has, I mean, there's no excuse for it. I'm sorry, Disney, but
no, there isn't. And I really don't understand that, because look, this is why Disney clones attractions, because it's cheaper to build 2 than it is to build 1. That's what really surprises me about the dragon situation, is that they didn't clone the dragon. Like, you would think that, like with everything else Disney does, it's cheaper to build 2 than it is to build 1. That's why you see so many clones. Why didn't they give Florida the same dragon? That's really, really odd to me. Yeah, it's a huge missed opportunity. And honestly, I'll even go even a little bit further with like the riverboat. I mean, we use the Mark Twain here at Disneyland. It's kind of like a dual use thing. Mm-hmm. But the Steamboat Willie boat in Florida isn't the greatest either. They really, I don't know. What do you feel? What do you feel about that?
I just feel for Walt Disney World, they put so much money into the amphitheater itself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big amphitheater. I mean, it could seat a lot of people. And I mean, even the walkway getting up to it, it takes like 5-10 minutes just to reach the seating for the amphitheater. So it's almost like, they overdo it with this spectacle of saying, oh yeah, we're drawing you into this amphitheater to see this immaculate show, but none of the budget actually went into the show. It got cut.
Yes. And here's my big thing with the amphitheater. I think part of the magic, and a lot of Florida people might disagree with me on this. It's just, and this could be my home park bias showing. And if it is, let me know. But I think part of the magic for Fantasmic is how organic it feels. Mm-hmm. That when you go to Disneyland, it's not an amphitheater. Like, it takes place in the park that you just experience through the day. It's New Orleans Square. It's Tom Sawyer's Island. These are areas of the park that you visit during the day, and they're just normal areas of a theme park. And at night, though, it erupts into Fantasmic, very much like a fireworks show. It's the castle and all the stuff that you experience during the day, the hub. And at night, it becomes this magical thing with the fireworks. I think that's one of the biggest problems with the Hollywood Studios version, is that you go into it like you're going to a Broadway show. It's the amphitheater. There's benches. There's seating. It's very much a show.
It's prepping you for it, basically.
Right. It's conditioning you from minute one. This is a show. Where at Disneyland, it's more like, this is a more organic kind of like, look, we all know it's make-believe, but It feels more real, because it's like it erupts in parts of the park that you visited during the day. It feels more organic in that sense. That's one of the big issues I have with the Florida version, is that it does have that amphitheater. It feels too much like Lion King on Broadway with fireworks. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where they placed it in there, because when Hollywood Studios opened, which was formerly known as MGM Studios, it was based as a working real production studio. So, to build an amphitheater there, it fit. But for, I think, a show like Fantasmic, that should have stayed at Magic Kingdom. That should have stayed within, still doing it at Tom Sawyer Island, because Walt Disney World has Tom Sawyer Island too. They could have easily placed it right there the kind of mirror of how Disneyland does. And they could have made an amphitheater at Hollywood Studios for something that's more appropriate than, I would say, Fantasmic. I think if they were to have like an outdoor show, maybe like how they do Indiana Jones Epic Stunt Spectacular, maybe do like a Star Wars stunt show or something in that nature. But I think for a show like Fantasmic, it's one that needs to just come naturally rather than getting prepped for and saying, okay, you're going to walk this path to sit down in this amphitheater and watch this show.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the shows personally that I'm kind of more drawn to are the shows that do that. The shows that sort of are more organic. Another show I love is World of Color. And I love that show because, again, it's kind of like Fantasmic in the sense that it's an area of the park that you walk past a million times when you're at DCA. And at night, it just erupts into this magical symphony of light and music. I just like that organic sense to these shows. I find myself being drawn more to that than the shows like, say, at the Hyperion, where I have to walk into a theater and I'm sitting down. It's a show. It's very much a show. We're letting you know it's a show. I like the more organic stuff where it's like it erupts out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah. And by the way, remember, it's a show.
Yeah, remember, it's a show. We're seating you, aisle 5. You know, it's like that whole thing. And I just like, yeah, I agree with you. Put it in Magic Kingdom, you know? Even if they would have built some sort of thing in like New Fantasyland for it, you know? It didn't feel like an amphitheater, but was like a stage, a staging ground for it would have been kind of cool. I just feel like the Disney World version, they need to have more of an organic kind of feel to that. And I think that's a
little bit of the frustration part for me. And I think you had touched upon this subject in a previous recording where, you know, while Disney World talks a big game of saying, oh, we have the land, we have the room, we have the space, then use it.
I know. And that's the thing that's really frustrating is that you have all the land, use it, you know, and maybe that's part of the problem. You know, maybe because they have all the land, it sort of breeds a little bit of creative laziness. You know, a lot of the stuff that's come out of Disneyland, like the stretching room for the Haunted Mansion, which was kind of done out of necessity to get people underground and beyond the berm, things like that. They were kind of birthed from like having to work around the size issues. So maybe the blessing of size is a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you don't have to worry about the Best Western signage affecting the show in Frontierland. You know what I'm saying? You guys have the space to not have to worry about any of those outside intrusions. But the curse is that like we talked about, like it breeds a little bit of laziness because they don't have to it doesn't challenge the Imagineers to they can just plop it and just be done. Okay, it's here, you know? And you even see that with Galaxy's Edge. I mean, look at the transitions. When you're walking into Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, they had to really, really work that because of, you know, the rivers of America and what have you. And the transitions are beautiful. Then you go to Florida and it's like, here's Toontown Land. I mean, Toy Story Land. And then boom,
you're in Galaxy's Edge. Yeah.
You know,
it's like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So, but we'll see, you know, and all this might be changing because, you know, Imagineering is moving out to Florida. Now that they're more boots on the ground, kind of hands-on with Orlando, there might be more of that attention to that, more attention to detail, you know? And I think there might be because look, for years, Imagineering was centered out here in Glendale. Now being closer to Orlando, it's probably going to benefit Orlando, to be quite honest. You know?
Yeah. We'll have to definitely wait and see. And let me ask you this. So now remember, folks, this is all just speculation right now. Disney has not yet confirmed nor denied that the Pocahontas scene is removed. They just had mentioned that there are new sequences and Fantasmic coming back soon. So who knows? We may be looking at keeping the Pocahontas scene and something else might be removed to add Aladdin and Moana. But Let me ask you this: if you had to pick and choose, what would you add into Fantasmic that could make it a little more? Like if it's something like at the top of your head that you would like to add or maybe see in Fantasmic, what would it be?
Well, I think Moana's a good choice. I'm trying to think here. What else would be great? Now, you don't have Tangled in your show, do you?
No, we do not.
Tangled is a beautiful franchise, and I love what they do with the lanterns and stuff like that. I think that could be a potentially pretty cool segment, in the Florida Fantasmic. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. I actually really like, and I know it's Pixar, but I really like Coco in the sense of like it has great music. It's really vibrant, really colorful. I think that would play kind of well with Fantasmic. Stuff like that, I just want to see stuff. I think when it comes to Fantasmic, I just think you need visual spectacles. You need something that's going to just like, and I think that Pocahontas doesn't really do that. It's a very kind of like grounded movie. Like I said, a very historical thing. It's not the spectacle, but like Coco, Tangled, Moana, stuff like that. It's spectacle. It's visually mind-blowing. Even like Frozen would be kind of cool. There's potential there with the ice and the freezing and the water.
And they already have the mountain.
They already have the mountain, So yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I think when it comes to Fantasmic, you just sort of have to have this mindset going into it, like aesthetic visually, what does this franchise bring to the show? Because this is a visual show. You can't have like kind of boring subject, you have to be visual, so that's my only thing. I think those are some good examples though.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. I actually love the idea for Tangled, because I mean, if they could find a way to, add the floating lanterns and what have you, or add like the ice type of technology for Frozen, and that would be the same type of technology that I was talking about that Disneyland has, sort of like when Mickey makes his introduction and you see like the sparkles everywhere and he's like making things move without it actually being there. I love that type of technology used for live entertainment, because you're taking a real live performer and intertwining it with technology, and I love that. I think it's a nice harmonious blend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the thing too, and I want to ask you a question, because when they replaced our Peter Pan segment here at Disneyland with the Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Mm-hmm. There was a lot of kind of like backlash from the fans, because Fantasmic has always been more about the Disney animated movies. And then they added this sort of like live action thing into it, right? Mm-hmm. For Florida, would you be open as a fan? Would you be open to like some other entities coming in, like Pixar, like live action, Marvel, or I don't know if they can even do Marvel, but like Star Wars or something? Like, are you open to that, or do you believe it should stay Disney animation?
I think if to add Star Wars, I think that may be going a little bit too farther. As far as the live action, like with Pirates of the Caribbean, or maybe even like the live action Jungle Cruise, or stuff of that nature, or even adding Pixar, I think that kind of like fits in well, where if it's tastefully done, I think they can make it work. And I think it would be, kind of nice. I think anything that we have other than what we have right now, I think would be like a nice add-on, because we've had the same show over and over again for almost 25 years. And I mean, like, it's time for a little bit of a change. I mean, I want to still keep Fantasmic, but I mean, let's be honest, it needs some sort of pulse.
No, it does. And Mickey's imagination has expanded in those 25 plus years. I mean, Disney now is a bigger thing than it once was back in 92 or 97. There's a lot more stuff going on with the world of Disney. And it's good to incorporate a lot of that. Even when Fantasmic started in 1992 over at Disneyland, or 92 or 93,
I think it was 92.
92.
Yeah.
They tried to incorporate as much of the new stuff as they could. You know what I'm saying? They had Mermaid in it, which at the time was kind of still a new movie, you know, Being the Beast, which is a new movie at the time. So Fantasmic sort of does have a history of like having these newer properties in the show. So I think it kind of bodes to the tradition, you know. They should have some of this new stuff in the show and sort of constantly having it expand. You know, Disney is not the same company now that it was in 92 or 97. You should reflect that. You should have some of these newer films that some of these younger kids are growing up on, and I see no problem with that. But just pick the right movies, though. Like I said, it has to be visual. It has to be visually. It has to pop. It can't be like, like Mighty Ducks. Like that does not.
Right.
It has to be visually a visual spectacle.
Yes. So. Definitely. And to correct myself, after I thought about it, I do believe they added Rapunzel and Flynn Rider in the princess sequence.
Oh, okay.
When they're coming around. But that's the only thing that they added of Tangled, like not an actual scene, where it involves like the floating lights or, more heavily involved with Tangled. I think that would really be cool, though, if they did.
Yeah, that would be really cool. That would be really, really cool. Disney has a lot since these shows premiered in 92 and 97. Disney's done a lot of movies, and there's a lot there they can pull from. Even like Fantasia 2000.
Yes.
Like
that
with
would
Mother
even
Nature
be cool.
And all. Yeah, like all the visual stuff with
or
that.
Honestly, even a scene from the original Fantasia, The Sorcerer's Apprentice, with the broomsticks with the water and have like the music, behind it and everything. I think that would be really cool.
Now you guys don't have. Now we do have that in ours.
Yeah. See, no, we don't have that.
Wow, I don't remember that. I gotta watch it again. I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, they should definitely add that. That's something that you kind of need for Fantasmic. It's Sorcerer Mickey. Come on.
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Oh, man.
We do not have that. It's like the only changes I think we've ever had to our Fantasmic was they replaced a princess, and I can't remember which princess they replaced for Rapunzel. And I can't remember. I don't think there was anything else, really.
Wow.
I even remember, changes to Disneyland's Fantasmic. Like you had like the Pinocchio sequence, then you had the Peter Pan that changed into Pirates of the Caribbean. You have the Ursula scene, and then you have the Aladdin. Like there were changes throughout there's so many different versions of Disneyland's Fantasmic that Walt Disney World, you can search it and you'll get the same one practically every single time.
Wow. Well, whoever did, and I don't know the guy or the gal who produced Happily Ever After, but whoever you are, if you're watching this, you should produce Walt Disney World's Fantasmic, because I think Happily Ever After perfectly hit all the right marks. And I think that is the model they should use for Walt Disney World's Fantasmic in terms of like what IP to use, the tone, the energy. Whoever produced Happily Ever After should definitely be involved, in my opinion, should definitely be involved in any Fantasmic renovation or reimagining for Florida, because they hit the nail on the head with the Happily Ever After.
They really did. Happily Ever After was phenomenal, and kind of going sort of like saying, I wish, we had a little taste of Disneyland's Fantasmic. I kind of wish that Disneyland would have a little taste of Happily Ever After, because I mean, now that we have Disney and Enchanted or whatever it's called. See, look, I can't even get the name right for that new one. I can. Yeah. That I feel a nice full circle were to bring a version that would fit Disneyland and Disneyland's rendition of Happily Ever After. That would be awesome.
You know what, George, from your lips to God's ears. I mean, I would love to see a version of Happily Ever After come to Disneyland. Look, Mickey's Mixed Magic as as an icon, a total legend of a show that it is. And I'm being totally sarcastic, but
it definitely stands the test of time.
Yes, timeless material. No, but in all seriousness, it was a fun show for the Mickey's 90th, but as time has come, for sure.
Yeah.
But Disney, I would love to see more of a traditional kind of show come to Disneyland, like a Happily Ever After. Obviously, you would have to rework the projection mapping for our castle.
Right.
You'd have to work that a little bit, and probably for the maybe you'd add some of it to the buildings on Main Street, but I think it would be fantastic. I would love to see that. We haven't really had a traditional fireworks show here in Anaheim in a long time. It's been Mickey's Mixed Magic for a few years now, so that would be really, really cool.
Yeah, that would be really, really cool to have Happily Ever After at Disneyland and have some form of Fantasmic at Walt Disney World from Disneyland, because it's getting to a point where now I think the fans, me included, that if it were to go back to the old Fantasmic when it reopens, I would honestly more so be looking at Disney. You had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Brought to you on a silver platter, and you just completely threw it away. You had so much time to rework the show. I mean, we've seen the aerial views of the amphitheater. They've been working on it for how long? So it's like, if you're already having it done for refurbishment, do something with it.
Right? Yeah, do something with it, and Disney has so many IP now since 97 that they can work with that are so much better fitted for this show than, like, say, Pocahontas. There's just no excuse for it. There's just no excuse for it. I do want to ask you something, and this is totally kind of going off the books here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very much like a Florida thing, and it's kind of like a lot of fans are talking about it. So I'm like, what, why not digress a little bit and just dig into it, right?
Okay.
Animal Kingdom.
Okay.
Animal Kingdom. Primeval World. Primeval World,
mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That attraction, from what I understand, has been completely removed.
Mm-hmm. I saw the photo yesterday of an aerial view, and I can't believe of how much space that attraction took, because that's a lot of room.
It's a lot of room, and that whole area is very much like late Eisner, so carnival. Like, it's very much like what we got, like the same crap we got for DCA. Cheap. It's obvious that Chester and whatever it is, Chester and
Hester's Dino-Rama.
Yeah, it's not long on this earth. I'm pretty sure they're phasing it out.
Yeah.
What are your predictions? Like, you're the Florida guy. Like, what are your predictions for this area? Like, is Indiana Jones Land coming? Do you think it's Zootopia? What are your feelings? What have you heard?
I think it's definitely going to be an IP. Definitely. They are not going to replace it just to put something else there. I will say I do love the aspect of dinosaurs. I just feel that Disney has to take a different approach on it. And I think if they were to put in Indiana Jones, they can maybe have something like intertwined with like a new storyline that involves him as like with an archaeological hunt for like maybe like the last dino egg, or searching like the rare specimen of a new species of dinosaur or something. There's like so many ways that they can kind of intertwine the storyline, with Indiana Jones. And then of course with the new Indiana Jones movie, set to open in 2055, so it'll be enough time for them to create a storyline even maybe based around that. And then if not, they could always end up with the long rumored Zootopia, just have like a brand new land, because it kind of already has, if they want to keep not necessarily the carnival style, but maybe because Zootopia is in like a metropolitan type of town, like it's like the animals living in the city and what have you, so they can keep that atmosphere about, carnival games or what have you, but just center around Zootopia. And then you could have like the city skyscraper and the landscapes that make up the city itself. And so there's a lot they could do with that as well. As far as the rest of Dino Land, I mean, it would probably stick around, but I think it would be so easy for them to transition Dinosaur into the Indiana Jones. They have the ride system. It's the same track layout. I mean, it'd be so easy to do.
They should do that. Yeah, they should do that. I mean, Indiana Jones, if, like you said, they can easily kind of tweak it a little bit, where it would be more about an archaeological, like, you know, going in with dinosaur eggs, something like that. I think that would be really, really cool. You know, or even look, if they want to keep it within Lucasfilm and, like, you know, Star Wars. And I know you're probably thinking, oh God, this guy's fucking crazy, but hear me out. I mean, even Star Wars, you can build like a Star Wars land based on the creatures of the galaxy.
Yes,
you know, and it wouldn't be that much different than like a Pandora. You know,
exactly, I mean, because a lot of people looked at Pandora thinking, "What is Disney doing? What does Avatar have to do with Disney?" And then more so, they said, "Oh, by the way, this is going to go in Animal Kingdom," and it's like, "Are you serious?" But then after we got it, it is like one of the best themed areas, not even just in Animal Kingdom, but of all of Walt Disney World.
Oh yeah.
And I think honestly, you may be onto something there. If they were to add maybe like the Wookiee planet, or with the Ewoks, or
the Banthas that they were going to have in Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, that would be perfect. And honestly, that's what I wish Star Wars would have done. If they were to take a planet and put it in each, and even in Disneyland, if they were to make a different planet per park based on what that park is all about, maybe do something in Animal Kingdom, as you had mentioned, like with the Wookiee planet or what have you, do Batuu maybe at Walt Disney, at Hollywood Studios, and then do another world at Disneyland, and then maybe do something in our Magic Kingdom over at Walt Disney World, but have the storylines connect, sort of like how they're doing with Marvel.
Right. Exactly. I would love to see something like that. I would absolutely love to see something like that. And look, the R&D, the research and development is already there on a lot of stuff, like the Banthas and things like that. They were going to have that in Batuu, you know, dust off those plans, bring them to Animal Kingdom, have a whole thing. It's an animal planet, so to speak, you know, in the far off reaches of the galaxy. It would be kind of like similar to like what you see with Pandora. I think it would do very, very well. I think that has a lot of, you know, potential. So I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. The Animal Kingdom is a great little park, and I think there's a lot you can do there. Now, I do want to show you something kind of cool here.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. This is real concept art. I don't remember what year it was, but this is real art. Like, I guess Disney at one time was considering retheming Disneyland's Adventureland to like a dinosaur themed area at one point in time. And this is real. I'm going to share that.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool? And this is the Jungle Cruise, the loading area. All right, they got the huge volcano. I think they got some sort of like roller coaster here. They got the pterodactyl, the bones everywhere. You know, even something like this. They just take a real serious approach to Animal Kingdom with dinosaurs. Something like this, where it's like a real version of like this prehistoric world. Taking like that, like almost like when you're on the train, the railroad at Disneyland. And
yes.
Primeval world. You know, but do a whole land like that, you know?
You're more so you're walking into the world of dinosaurs rather than just say, hey, this is the scientific side of dinosaurs. We're going to take you back in time. We're just walk into already the Cretaceous period or what have you. Now, actually, that does make sense because, again, those plans got brought back up behind the Jungle Cruise when they were supposed to make the Volcano Mountain roller coaster based off of Moana. Because it was supposed to angle when you were on the ride that you would see Disney's Polynesian Village Resort across the water. So it was all supposed to intertwine between Adventureland and the Polynesian Village, but then more so, they were only able to do one. So they decided either do the Moana volcano roller coaster or Tron. They went with Tron.
Interesting. A lot of potential here, and
so I mean, and I think it's interesting because I've never seen this piece of concept art before. So Disney already had in mind that there was going to be a volcanic mountain behind Jungle Cruise.
Yes, this is artwork that was being thrown around. Never came to be, obviously, but the artwork is there. I don't think they can really do that now with Disneyland because you have Indiana Jones. Right. And you have to rework that. Like for Animal Kingdom, it would be different because you're building it from the ground up.
Right.
You can work that dinosaur, that archaeology, thing into that from the beginning. Now it'd be a little harder for Disneyland to go back and kind of redo it. But for Florida, you're kind of starting from scratch with that whole area, the Chester and Hester area. You can really build it from the ground up. You can do a cool Indiana Jones thing with a dinosaur kind of vibe. You can do just a dinosaur area even, I mean, there's so much you can do there. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot of potential there. It's a blank canvas. I really hope they take advantage of it.
And I think Disney was kind of lending on their laurels of The Good Dinosaur being this Pixar smash hit. So they would have an IP to use for that. Yeah. But then when The Good Dinosaur didn't do so well at the box office, it's kind of like, well, we're stuck with what we still have.
Well, and it's really sad to me, to be honest with you, George, that Universal has really been able to kind of control the narrative, so to speak, with dinosaurs. This was really a Disney thing early on. Yes. I mean, Walt Disney was fascinated with dinosaurs, and I'm really sad that Disney has let it slip out of their fingers, and now it's more associated with Universal.
Yeah. And that's where I think, and especially with Universal just opening up the Velocicoaster and already having Jurassic Park River Adventure and what have you, I can slowly see that Disney is just losing its way with dinosaurs. And if they were to go down this route, they may be able to pull it back. But I think if they don't, it's going to be stagnant. Yeah. And I think they're going to have no choice but to replace it with something completely different.
Yeah, they need, and here's the reality: they need an IP that's a box office, smash, and related to dinosaurs, and they just haven't had anything. Universal's got Jurassic World, Jurassic Park. Disney doesn't have any of that, and unfortunately. So I would love to see dinosaurs back at Disney, and even Epcot. My dear friend Showcase of Wishes, who I love dearly, he loves dinosaurs, right? And I think wasn't there an Epcot, was it Universe of Energy that had the dinos?
Yes.
And that's going to be Guardians now.
That's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah. See, and here's the thing, Cosmic Rewind, which kind of implies time travel. Disney, bring the Universe of Energy dinosaurs into that attraction. Can you imagine riding that roller coaster and zooming past dinosaurs as you time travel? It would be amazing, but who knows if they'll do it. I doubt it, but come on.
I mean, they could definitely utilize some other, entities of other retired attractions and bring it back and even revamp it so it could fit a newer generation of an attraction. That would be so cool.
It'd be great. It would be fantastic. There's a lot of potential there. And I think, I think the future for Walt Disney World is great. I think it's bright. I think I think we'll be pleasantly surprised. I think a lot of the stuff that they're planning, I think is really going to be fantastic. We just kind of wait and see, but I just want to see more dinos.
Yes.
I want to see more dinos. I really want to see them do more, like we talked about with Fantasmic, bring some more, IP in there that fits the show better, things like that. But we'll see how it pans out. Now, before we close it out, I mean, are there any like there's no news on it's all rumor at this point, right? Like
right now, yeah, it's only speculation that the Pocahontas theme is going to be removed. Now, Josh D'Amaro did confirm Fantasmic's coming back. There's going to be new sequences, new technology. They mentioned Aladdin, Moana, but they didn't actually say what it was going to replace. But with all the speculation going around with Pocahontas, that was going to be the one on the chopping block. But knowing Disney, they could throw a curveball and keep Pocahontas, and something else could be taken on.
Now, I have a question for you. Yep. Going back to Fantasmic, is there a Tiana segment in Fantasmic?
No, there isn't.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do that.
Yeah, I could honestly see them integrating a Princess and the Frog. However, I actually think the Princess and the Frog would actually fit Disneyland's a little better. Because I think because with it being adjacent right over to New Orleans Square, and you guys having more of that possibly soon to be going down the bayou sort of thing, even like with Pirates, you're in the bayou swamps. Right. I think like the Princess and the Frog would fit much better at Disneyland. However, I mean, there's still very much possibility they may add it to Florida's.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that new Tiana show is coming out, I think, like in a year or so, maybe. And that's fine. I think that's a much better fit. I mean, even in Florida than Pocahontas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, we'll see. We'll see.
We will definitely see. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today. You're on Citrus Corner,
Yes.
So, everyone, please let us know. We love to hear from you. Comment down below everything that we talked about. What are your thoughts? Are you a fan of Walt Disney World's Fantasmic? Do you prefer it over Disneyland's? Do you like the Pocahontas scene? Would you rather it be replaced? What would you want it to be replaced with? Are you a fan of the dinosaurs at Animal Kingdom? Everything we talked about. Comment down below. We love hearing from you. We love the conversation. We absolutely do. And it would actually give us insight for future videos for Orange Grove 55, for Citrus Corner, for Freshly Squeezed, and right from the Grove. That's for you. That's for you, Mr. Fast Sky.
We love you, Dre. We're thinking of you, brother. We love you, Dre.
Yes, we miss you, and we can't wait to see you soon. And everyone, again, thank you for this episode of Citrus Corner, and thanks to my good buddy Orange Grove 55. And please give him a big thumbs up, a like, a subscribe, because it keeps the channel going, and that's what we want to see. So please do that, and everyone, have a magical day.
Bye-bye, everybody.